must have.
There we go. We are live.
Wow. There. Now I show that.
Okay, guys. Hey, Frederick. Hello. How are you? Happy May Day or Beltane or Samhain, depending on where you live. Irene says hi. Hi, Irene. It's always weird seeing part of myself. This eclipse energy is heavy. Frederick says, I'm good. Happy Beltane. Thank you, thank you. So, we're all ready to have a conversation. I put up my Beltane topper. I was hoping I could wear it on my head, but it was too small for my head. So Ivan says, hi, lovely people. How are you? We're doing pretty well, I think. I didn't sleep good the night before last, but last night I slept great, so it made up for it. Thank you. May May says, happy Beltane. Happy Beltane, May May. We're actually having a lovely day today. It's nice and sunny out, not much wind. It's quite a gorgeous day outside. It's been raining for a while. Yesterday it was raining quite a bit.
One of our trees is blooming out there.
Cool. Irene says, where are you from? South Carolina here. We're on the coast of Oregon, the southern Oregon coast, so in the Pacific, or next to the Pacific Northwest. So, welcome, South Carolina. Ruth says, hi all. Hi, Ruth. Ian's looking out the window, trying to figure out what kind of a tree we have in our backyard.
Rare butterfly tree.
Another butterfly bush?
It's the same color, yeah.
Okay then.
We just couldn't see it before because it was all covered up with ivy and stuff.
Well, getting rid of ivy makes all sorts of things appear.
Yeah, well, got a lot to go yet.
Oh well, anywho, that's life. Erin says, hello, happy Beltane. Hi, Erin. Thank you all for joining us on this special day of the year. And we're not doing much. We're not doing our maypole this year or anything because it's just too much energy and not enough appreciation from the locals. And we're still sort of post-COVID kind of feeling. So, you know, it's sort of the way things go. But hey, I've done lots of them over the years. I was thinking about that actually, how many maypoles I've done since starting in the early 80s. I think it's when I first started celebrating and stuff. So I have a few under my belt. Irene says, too much energy for sure. Yeah. We do have a portable maypole now because my lovely husband built one. We used it twice, I think. So maybe at some point we'll pass on our portable maypole to another group or something like that if we decide it's the right time. But yeah. Dancing around the maypole is for the young. Or at least the young at heart. I love maypole though. I mean, Beltane's one of my favorite holidays. That and Samhain, they're my two favorite holidays. Frederick says, your hair is really pretty. Thank you, Frederick. I tried to put on the flowers behind me, so I decided I shouldn't have my hair up in case they fit, but oh well. Jonathan says, hi everyone. Hi Jonathan. Happy Samhain for you. I imagine your weather's different from ours since you're in a completely different location on the globe. I just think it's amazing that people from so many different places can hang out and say hi and stuff like that. It's just awesome.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Very cool. So I was really surprised at how many people have been watching the new video, because actually more people have been watching that one than in the beginning than any of my videos so far, apparently. Irene says, so Penny for your thoughts. Angela says, hello Siofra and chat blessings everyone. Hi Angela. Yeah, it's, I mean, the fact that I did 2 other videos on making wands and what wands were for, but never did one on how to use them. And I forgot to mention, you can use your wand to charge up items like specific. We're using the Mercury wand right now to charge up the stuff for the upcoming evocation that we're planning on doing. It takes a lot of work to get ready for that, so we haven't done it yet. That's our update. Luna says, hi all, happy Beltane Samhain. Hi. Jane says, happy Beltane. Hi, Jane. Thank you for joining us. Where are you from? So,
I'm sorry, I'm just going to be sniffling for a while.
yeah, allergies. Ian is suffering from allergies. Angela says, I'm excited. I'm getting a hand-engraved wooden spoon for a wand. Okay, awesome. A wooden spoon for a wand. That's different.
Hand engraved, but
Yeah. I've never thought of using a spoon for a wand, so interesting thought. Jane says, I'm from Cape Cod. Well, welcome. Dublin says at Siofra, what's up? Good to see you and thank you for all the good information. You're welcome. And right now, everything's just sort of calmish. We had an intruder earlier in the week. We had to order a new camera, which has to be put up now, you know. But hey, that was minor compared to other things. Ruth says, how did your story go about your brother? Oh, well, you couldn't click on see more so you could read the whole thing? I shared this on Facebook, and I assumed everybody could click on it and read the entire story, because that was the one about my brother having the spirit grabbing his ankle when I was a kid. Irene says, no wand here. Not everyone uses them. Luna says, beautiful flower, Siofra. Thank you. They won't fade because they're, silk. Violet says, hello, you two. I am printing like crazy, so I am on a mega constellations roll, printing maps and zodiac, doing passion, 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 making files that were organized like a puzzle. Sounds like a lovely, fun time. Frederick says, that's scary. Yeah, and he kind of surprised my granddaughter in the backyard. She was sitting out on the back step, and all of a sudden she hears a little sound. She turns up, looks up, and here's this guy coming between the 2 houses between us. And he goes like, oh, I'm sorry, wrong house. And we're like, right, like we believe that. I don't think so. So, yeah. I don't know. I think they were heading for our garage, hoped they could steal some tools, but we've been keeping that locked, especially since our temple is in there. And we really don't need people doing stuff to our temple. We had that happen once where someone broke into a temple in another house and like damaged things, like put salt in our censer and oil in the wooden chalice and just like destroyed them. So, yeah, they're not stalking, but Moonfire says, my mom mentioned May Day and reminded me to tune in. Hello, Moonfire. Nice of you to show up. We're always happy to see you guys. And Angela said, yay, Violet. Dublin says, they be stalking, huh? Crazy. Violet says, what kind of intruder? In your house or outside? Still an intruder. Ugh. Yes. Irene says, I got to get a wand now. We'll have to watch your last videos. Well, me, if you've watched any of my wand videos, I'm a wand nut. I love them. Violet says, it is fun, so I am over here listening and good and having a good time with all your printing. And hey, Angela and everyone. Dublin says, at Siofra, you know what's up? Spring? Summer? Angela says, how dare they? That's just wrong to do. I agree. And that's why it was our last blind spot. We got the cameras because of Ian's sister so that, we could document if she was sneaking onto our property in the middle of the night. Because, she's not supposed to be here. And apparently we have one more blind spot and this guy found it. So we are now covering it up. So no one else can sneak up on our house without being noticed. Angela says, how dare they? That's just wrong to do. And hi, Violet hugs. Irene says, is it focused intent the one that makes it powerful? Well, there's a lot of things that go into making a wand powerful. Focus intent is part of it, but the construction, the influences that you're building into it, the kind of wood that you use, your associations with using it as a tool, your connection to it. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that goes into a wand. Dublin says, "Yeah, that's what's up. Spring, summer, fall, winter." Yeah, yep. It's happening. Winter in one place, summer in the other, or spring and fall, or
Sometimes
in
it happens
between.
all in the same day over here.
Oh,
on the
yes.
coast.
Yep, you go outside dressed for winter, you come back dressed for summer. It's like layering. And the sky, Angela says. And the stars and the moon. Yes, they're up.
Right.
And, of course, we just had a partial solar eclipse somewhere on the planet as well as the new moon. I find it hysterically funny that they're now naming all the different moons, different things, and we didn't used to ever have a black moon for a long time, and they suddenly decided to throw that at us. Frederick says, it didn't know it was like that where some people have fall right now. Luna says, some a-hole let my indoor cat out today. We couldn't find her after walking the streets, calling, etc. I managed to locate her on the mental plane. She was intently watching birds. Yeah, that would be a cat kind of activity, especially if she hasn't been outside in a while. Dublin says, yeah, especially in the Midwest. And I think Luna's going to continue with that, standing at the something else is coming. Angela says, I was confused why I said Happy Samhain, then looked up why. How amazing. Yeah, because it depends on whether you're in the northern or southern hemisphere, what your holidays are, because they are opposite us, or we are opposite them, depending on how you look at it. It's funny, we live on a planet. And it has different parts. There's people everywhere. Desiderotum says, Happy Beltane. Thank you. I like all these flower pictures. Those are cute. And kitty pictures and sun pictures and hearts. Ruth says, no, I can't. Angela, I like your PFP. Ruth says, no, I can't what? Luna says, foot. Okay, standing at the foot of a hedge. I couldn't figure out exactly where. Then instantly I saw the gardens, houses as a blueprint and was able to pinpoint her location. She's back now and none the worse for it. Oh, good.
Oh, great.
I'm so happy. That's a good, excellent use of your abilities, too. Irene says, are you an aqua moon? Angela says, thank you. What's an aqua moon? You'll need to be more specific. I don't know what that means. I am a green person. And I love aqua, which is water sign. M. Paula says, hi, everyone. Hi. Nice to see you. Dublin says, I don't know what Beltane is, but I think it's a spring celebration. Well, yeah, that would be what it is. Beltane is the celebration of the coming fertility. The animals are pairing up, and the birds are making their nests and getting ready to lay eggs. The flowers are popping up and attracting the bees in order to make fruit for the fall or the summer, depending on what kind of a plant it is. So that's what this is all about, celebrating that shift of energy. And about halfway between the equinox and the solstice for both Samhain and for Beltane. So Beltane is halfway between winter solstice and summer solstice, and then opposite summer solstice and winter solstice is where Samhain is, in between, or between the equinox and the solstices. Taylor says, hi, everyone. Hi, Taylor. Irene says, Aquarius moon sign. No, Capricorn is my moon, and so is my sun, Capricorn as well. Ruth says, your brother. Not okay, my brother. Oh, sister. It's his half-sister, not a brother. Vitor says, blessed Beltane. Hi, Vitor or Vitor. Dublin says, okay, cool, right on. Shay says, hello, Siofra, Ian, and all. Happy Beltane. Happy Beltane, Shay. Woo! Luna says, thank you, Siofra. First time I've ever done something like that out of a meditation situation. I was standing up in the street in an altered state with my eyes closed. So happy it worked. So are we, because we really don't want to lose our cat people. Vanessa V says, hello, happy Beltane. Hi, Vanessa V, and thank you. Irene says, dang, I guess I was guessing. Dang it, I was guessing. Well, hey, there's nothing wrong with guessing, and I'm not just my astrological sign. So there. I'm multidimensional and not always astrologically correct. I'm a rebel. All through and through. Dublin says, kind of like we celebrate Easter. Yeah, right on. Yeah, actually, there's a lot of correlations between the two, but people usually correlate Easter with the spring equinox more than with Beltane. Frederick says, leaf, flower, sunflower, leaf, and falling leaf. Yay, thank you. You guys are very creative. Desert Ram says, have you all thought about making servitors for outdoor protection? I remember you have a Ming lion, but maybe something more movable. Well, actually, we have several things in our yard. It's just like some things work better for people who actually are aware of them than other things. So we keep shoring up our protections, but physical protections on top of it.
Yeah.
I don't find a problem with doing all the different planes.
Well, I agree with that. For sure.
Yeah. Dublin says astroturfing. Dublin says, ha ha. Luann says, hi, Siofra. Hugs from Maryland. Hi, Luann. So I have a lot of family on the East Coast. Used to live in Maryland when I was younger. Mom lived there until fairly recently, and she's now in Virginia with one of my sisters. Frederick says, do you have any guided meditation videos? Yes, I do. The Sacred Tree Meditation with the Healing Chant is one of them. It's my favorite, and one of the early ones I put out. So you can, I don't know if I did a separate thing on meditations. I did a short meditation for a family member who was supposed to be doing a mindfulness kind of exercise using the ocean, and the meditation that they gave her was the lamest thing I think I've ever read. So I did one with the same idea in mind that she could use. I don't know that she is using it at all, but so there's a very short ocean meditation for stress on there as well. Jonathan says, Irene, seems you're an astrology fan. Mid-May, there's an eclipse with Mercury retrograde, with Saturn square both the sun and moon, with Mars conjunct Neptune, for what it's worth to know that.
Well,
yeah.
be watching out for that day.
Well, that's going to be a lunar eclipse that will be visible here. It will start right at sunset. It will already be happening as the moon rises where we are. So Zuzana says, hi. Hi, Zuzana. M. Paula says, we had a new moon solar eclipse yesterday, and the next 16th we have a full moon lunar eclipse. What is your take of these phenomenon in the Beltane up north and the Samhain in the southern hemisphere? I think that they've been happening throughout since the beginning of our planet pretty much, and we should have adapted to the changing energies by now, as evolutionarily speaking. I'm not sure why everyone is freaking out about it on a regular basis and going like, oh no, there's going to be a solar flare, or there's going to be an eclipse. Ah! I'm like, just another Tuesday?
Yeah, you get calmer about such things as you get older and older.
Maybe so. I mean, I love watching the lunar eclipses, and I absolutely went crazy when I got to see a full solar eclipse. So, I think they're fantastic. I think it gives, the lunar eclipse is like the really first opportunity to see the moon as a ball hanging in space. That's just so awesome to see that. And the solar eclipse was mind-blowing. And now I know what the white light we're supposed to be focusing on actually looks like, because the sun's corona is the purest white I've ever seen, and just brilliant, spreading out there constantly. So, But when it comes to the other stuff, it's like, I don't know, almost like people are looking for excuses for not taking care of their own stuff and being responsible for their own feelings and experiences and trying to blame it on anything else but doing the work. But, I like the energy. Certainly watching a full moon come up and seeing all the energies pouring out of it and the trees reacting to it is way cool. And I really liked that experience. So I think it happens every month, not, just when something else is going on. So, Irene says, eclipse of the full Scorpio moon. Luna says, Jonathan, you're so knowledgeable. Are you into astrology? And Paula, smiling, laughing, crying, laughing. Someone says that, Siofra, I got a question for you and hubby. I have so many birds that land on my windowsills every day, and the other day I put some bread out for them, and none of them have come back since. Okay, bread is bad for birds, so don't give them bread. They're not equipped to digest bread. Get birdseed. Or in my case, I use peanuts for the crows and birdseed for the songbirds, so we have two different kinds of food out there, and maybe that's why they didn't come back. It gave them a tummy ache. I know people mean well when they're doing that, but it's one of those things. It's like it's not good for them. They are not capable of digesting cooked grain. Raw stuff is much better. So try that and see what happens. They may come back. So Jonathan says, Ian, that was exactly my reaction. Watch out for that day. It's the 16 May eclipse. Desidratum says you may get some footage of Faye on camera too. So far, not the weirdest thing we got on camera turned out to be cigarette smoke. It looks like crazy orbs. We're talking streaming orbs going in different directions and changing direction and moving all around. And that was the first thing we got when we first put up the camera. And it was a bit of a head scratcher trying to figure out what was that exactly.
Because that was at night and you couldn't tell it was smoke.
It shows up on the infrared.
It shows up on the infrared, yeah, because it's hot.
Yep. And my granddaughter was under the camera smoking because that's where she goes to smoke. So, yeah, it was very interesting. So far, not. I'll be interested if I do. We do get moths. They really show up bright. And they seem to be attracted to the infrared light in the camera because they'll fly right at it. So it's kind of interesting. Frederick says, I want to watch this, but my friend keeps texting me. Tell your friend to get online and watch it with you. And Paula says, yeah, I was thinking about special meditations and such with the eclipses and the Sabbats. Well, I mean, any time of year is a good time for meditation. And certainly connect more strongly when things are more obvious, I guess. Irene says, I like to use astrology as a map for the work. Pluto is the soul. And Ivan says, wow, thank you. You're welcome for whatever I said that I don't remember anymore. Dublin says, got to be responsible for real. Yep, absolutely. Jonathan says, Luna, not really. At the start of the month, I watch an astrology podcast for the month. Oh, so then you know what's coming. I think of astrology as like tarot cards. They're sort of indicators. And then you can decide what you want to do with the indication. Either avoid it, embrace it, use it, make it move you, whatever it is. Blair says, I know you said that souls reincarnate into the same species most of the time, but what happens to souls when their species go extinct? Do they become another species? For example, dinosaurs. Well, I guess. I don't know. I haven't actually looked into that. And I haven't had a direct experience with, like, the soul energy, like, of an extinct creature. But if it stops being fed, if like with the cow, it was the great cowness, and I see that with dogs and cats and things like that. It's like sort of like a space in the astral plane where all of their energy goes to and connects and comes from. So if an animal was extinct, then that energy would have nowhere to go. I mean, it would stop feeding it, and it would just sort of peter out, I would imagine, but probably still visible on the Akaja plane. So I imagine that the energy since we know it neither gets created nor destroyed, it's recycled and becomes something else, whatever its ancestors would be. So all these birds around here used to be dinosaurs. Maybe. I don't know. One of those questions. Dublin says at Siofra, oh, I did not know. Damn, my bad. Okay. Whatever that was. Luna says at Blair, that's a great question. That's about the species thing.
No, that last one was about feeding them. He didn't know.
Oh, the
about
bread.
Feeding them the bread, yes.
Well, that's why we mention these things, because
Yeah.
I didn't always know that either, and I started seeing it around, then I researched it, and I went like, and then they started putting signs up at ponds all around our area to tell people to not feed the ducks and the geese bread. So, Frederick says, do you work with demons? No, I do not. Dublin says, I'm telling you all, Siofra knows some chit. So we're not saying a bad word?
They didn't get caught by the...
It didn't get caught by the Google
makes me
or
hold it.
YouTube police department
Yeah,
or whatever that holds the thing and says you cannot say that. So good job. But yes, I do know a few things. I've been around the block for a while. Art Knows says, are you currently reading any good books? No. I'm currently watching TV. I'm not reading any good books. I'm watching TV that's based on good books. So,
I'm doing research based on books.
right, we are doing some research here and there and stuff like that. So those would be books, but they're not for reading.
entertainment,
Yeah, it's
I
not.
used to read a book a day for entertainment.
Me
Science
too.
Fiction.
Yeah, I went through a
Yeah.
phase where I was reading sometimes 2 and 3 a day, and I think we could turn that off when you get a minute.
You want that off?
Yeah, I'm plenty warm. Dublin says exactly. Yeah, it's. I mean, I started studying herbs when I was in my 20s and used it on my children, so I know a lot about, North American plants, for example, some of which are in Europe as well, because I had to decide what kind of plants I wanted to study, and I decided in case we suddenly couldn't get to China to get their plants, that maybe I should study the ones that I might find in my own backyard. And I was glad I made that decision because it helps me know what's in my lawn, for example. Although it's really annoying that they keep forgetting to put the stuff about plantain out there. I must have had a week where every day the same meme would come by, missing a vital piece of information, and I'm running around trying to correct it. Oh well. Blair says, I know you said watch The Witcher. You should check out Merlin. It's a great show. Lots of magic. Oh, I loved Merlin. It was fun to watch. Yeah. There's a lot of actually good magical shows out there. From, some
There
more
is now,
realistic than
yeah.
others. But,
Never used to be.
yeah, we had,
Satan School for Girls.
oh my God. If you get a chance to watch, this is the old version
The
of
original.
it. The original version of Satan Schools for Girls is absolutely hysterical. Some of the worst cinematography you've ever seen, especially with the lamp. It's like they forgot to move the spotted light when she's walking down the hall with the candle. And they suddenly realized, oh my God, she's moved. And they go like this and they go and catch up to her. It's so funny. But yeah. Desdrodum says Damien Eccles and his wife Lori just published a book called Ritual this week. Good for them. Frederick says plants are awesome. Yes, they are. Without them, we would not live. Dublin says Merlin was coolio. Angela says, I like the Merlin movie from the 90s. Angela says, the moon trick scene just gets me. I don't think I remember that, but that's fine. Dublin says, oh God, laugh out loud. Jonathan says, Siofra, Ian, did you say last week you are planning to evoke Mercury? Don't need to discuss why again. I'm just curious about the ritual itself. Well, not the planet, but a mercurial spirit to see if we can assist his sister with her mental issues. So, and
Yeah.
we're thinking we probably shouldn't do this during Mercury retrograde, so it's going to be a little bit longer.
But we're doing it pretty much as close to Barden's recommendations as we can manage. My clairvoyance isn't up to what it should be for doing it, but I'll take a chance that maybe it can help my sister.
Yeah, we'll see. And we'll both be doing it together because I'm more clairvoyant And sometimes I can see and hear things that Ian doesn't, although his abilities are improving.
Kind of typical, though. We're going to get some mirrors charged up to create a mercury atmosphere in here.
To get the right light.
That's been done, and we get the right light, and we got mastic for the incense.
Had to order that because the stuff from Greece is the right stuff.
So we're going to get in. I've got a circle drawn on a piece of cloth. We'll use that and recharge it for the circle and the triangle.
I used my mercury wand to charge up the mirrors, which actually worked fairly well. And that's one of the things, it's like it made it so much easier for me to get the right color and to get into the right frame of mind by using my mercury wand to get the right color tone or whatever for the light, to charge it up for that. So we'll have them in the temple here and they'll radiate out the light for the mercury spirit. And yes, it is out of Barden's second book.
Ayala Haya, in particular, if I pronounced that right, is number 44. If you want to care to look it up, he's the guy who can potentially help you to cure insanity.
Which is what she has. But, it may be beyond our ability or beyond our authority or beyond its ability, because if there's other things we don't know about, like something she decided she needed to do for this life,
or just fate. She can be fated to live that way for a certain amount of time from something she did in a previous life.
Well, yeah, that's sort of what I meant by that. And but this will be our last thing that we can try. And if he says no, I can't, we'll go like, okay, we're just going to learn to accept the situation for what it is and hope for the best. Taylor says, I am currently reading a comic called The Invisible. It can be very graphic at times. Well, I don't care for graphic stuff, so. Dublin says, Taylor says, if you heard of it, haven't. And Jonathan says, so A Spirit of Mercury out of Barden's second book, which I saw coming up, and so we answered that already. Dublin says, at Siofra, Ian is out of my realm and league, but he's highly intelligent when it comes to these things. Barden? Yes.
Thank you.
Or Ian? Yes.
Yeah.
Desert says, Consorting with Spirits by Jason Miller came out today. I'm downloading the Kindle version right now. Very highly reviewed by Foolish Fish. They have very entertaining names for things nowadays.
Yeah.
No boring stuff anymore.
Well, I agree. It's much better.
Yeah, absolutely. But, So, it's definitely not a fast and easy kind of ritual to do, so it takes preparation.
Yeah, a lot of specifics you have to arrange. But at least we have some of them already done. We have the circle made and drawn out on a piece of cloth, so we just have to recharge it.
And then fold it out on the floor.
Yeah.
Blair says, how would someone magical as an individual fight their own insanity? Well, crossing the abyss and putting yourself back together by the total destruction of the ego is the method I used.
Yeah, it's
I was completely insane for a while, very vividly hallucinating for at least a year, I'd say, after that happened. And it's not easy to do, and not everyone can do it, I'm assuming. Otherwise, more people would.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I managed, but I had help from the other planes, trying to sort of keep my thread together so that I knew where I belonged, I think. It's not an easy thing. And then, of course, the whole definition of insanity and what does that mean?
You're trying to bootstrap yourself up with that, and that's pretty tough trying to,
Well, that's one of the reasons why I focus so much on grounding and, balancing all the different elements, because it's the unbalanced being that is more thrown into the possibility of what we would call mental instability and losing track of where they are. I mean, the delusions that Ian's sister have are many, and they all involve some kind of horror. The latest ones that she shared with us are like there's a bunch of tunnels underneath the town that someone has lost the key to, and there's people under there, and it's filling up with water, and they're all going to drown. And then she keeps seeing murders take place. or violence. She is hanging out with a bad crowd, so there could be some reality mixed in with that, which is one of the things that's difficult to try and figure out. What's the thread of actual reality that might be happening there? But yeah. So Dublin says, oh, Frederick says that's interesting. Dublin says, because insanity the demons want you to be part of. They want you to be confused and depressed. Well, it could be. They certainly can feed on that. My one friend that I assisted in getting help down in Los Angeles was definitely being harassed by a lot of thought forms that looked a heck of a lot like demons. She thought that's what they were, so definitely a possibility. M. Paula says to Blair, there is a Kabbalah book on rebirth. Maybe you will be interested. Sefer Hadjilgulam is the mystic Jewish take on rebirth that refers about the possibility of interspecies rebirth. Blair says, ooh, thank you, much appreciated. Well, I remember being like a leopard, a black panther, an animal, not a person member of a group. Because there are black panthers that are people. I hope, Deseratum says, I hope this is not true, but I've heard it's not possible to cut cords with a person's biological mother because of the umbilical cord or some such thing. I don't know if that's true either. I think that even if it is true that you can't cut the cords that way, you can make them so that they don't affect you anymore by doing the work and by becoming a healthy person, and then not being influenced by that birth energy anymore, being able to see it for what it is and to be able to stop yourself from engaging in negative mental back and forth, falling into old patterns. I mean, just not falling into old patterns can be difficult for a lot of people because, like, you have your childhood friends or you have your childhood itself and you get back together with family in a child home, like where you were raised, and we often are sort of old personality is reignited and we fall into all these bad patterns or repeat patterns and stuff like that just because of that, and everyone's expectations that that's who we are and that's how we will behave. So that becoming an individual is hard, but it's really, really important to do that because that's how you can survive that kind of influence.
And I'll tell you what, I tried my best to cut cords with my mother for years. I mostly succeeded too, I think, in not having contact with her until she finally died. That's because I was her trigger. She was schizophrenic also.
Yeah, Dublin says it's not about cutting cords, it's about working through and learning tools to protect yourself. Absolutely. It's another good way of putting it. So yeah, I mean, you know, we all have to try and figure out how we're going to maneuver our way through these potential pitfalls that we come across and choose how we're going to act in any given situation. The more able we are to consciously choose our actions, the better able we are to actually make progress. Because if it's an automatic knee-jerk reaction, then, you know, it's means we're not conscious of what we're doing and we're not actually choosing. We're just sort of going with the flow. Dublin says that. Ian, thumbs up. Aquarian says, hi, I'm looking to anoint my relationship with a wand. I'd like to do it under the full moon. However, the April full moon is an eclipse. Does the blood moon differ from the full moon? Should I wait? Well, I don't think it differs, but if you think it should wait, the eclipse is only going to happen on the night of the actual full moon when the moon travels through the shadow. So you could do it the day before the actual eclipse if you don't want to worry about how an eclipse energy might transform your wand, which for me wouldn't be a problem. I wouldn't care. I might actually think it was kind of cool because then I get, like, you know, dual energy happening. But entirely up to you. So, yeah, the moon is actually only full for like a few seconds in reality as far as astronomically is concerned, but it looks full for about 3 days. And when I'm going to use lunar energy for something, I like to do it before it's completely full astronomically, as because then the energy is building up and then after it peaks, the energy is starting to wane, even though I can't see it. So that's my take on that. It's like I like to do it before the event rather than after. Aquarian says, also, I considered anointing the wand under a new moon to embed it with the energy of stars instead. Well, new moon only happens during the day. Take a note. If you're going to do it on the new moon, you should do it during the day, because that's when the moon is in the sky. It is not in the sky at night. Nowhere to be seen. Not only is it invisible, it isn't there. It's like, so, just to be precise. Aquarian says, I wondered about the dual energy, full and eclipsed. Thank you for your advice. You're welcome. Oh, sorry. I skipped a few. Moonfire says, at Desideratum, Dion Fortune has a spell to cut cords. I don't remember the book title. It's probably Psychic Self-Defense, I would assume. Dublin says, at Siofra, can you not use your own hand as a wand? In an emergency, you can use your hand as an athame or a wand. So you can cut things with it, or you can direct things with it. But it's nice to have a tool that's got energy already in it, so that you don't have to muster up all of the energy every time you use your hand.
Exactly. They're great batteries for storing up energy to use for something like that.
Which is why the Mercury wand was really cool for me to use to charge up those mirrors with. So, Desideratum says, allegedly we have to experience all manner of life, including non-carbon based like rocks, amoeba, trees, Gandhi, etc. Feels correct for me. Well, I mean, we certainly need to connect with it if we're going to understand it. Corian says, I didn't know the full moon was only up during the day. No, that's the new moon. The full moon is only up at night. Switch that around. If I said full moon, I was not speaking correctly. Because I was answering your anointing under the new moon. So that's what I was talking about. And the nature of a new moon. Okay, you got both of them in there. Okay, so to back up, full moon, all at night. New moon, all at day. It's the only time that the moon is in all. You always see the moon during the day throughout the month, except on the full moon, when it's only out at night. I mistyped. You spoke correctly. Okay, good. Thank you. Desiree says at Moonfire Dawn, thank you. I may have that book. I have 2 of hers I've been using as reference, not reading cover to cover. I'll look. Well, if you have it on your iPad or whatever, you can do a key search for it and find it probably faster that way, right? That's what we do with, I have Barden's book on my computer, as well as we have physical copies of it. And that way, if I need to look up something specific, I can do a keyword search and like, yay! Dublin laughed. Probably because of all that stuff. So yeah, life. It's an interesting experiment. Whatever it means, being here now is the important part of this experience. So we can have all kinds of theories about why we're here or what we have to do, etc. But if we miss out on being in the life that we're in, we're not learning whatever it is that we're supposed to be learning from the one that we're having, right? So I'm looking at Thor on the other side. We're going to try and switch like where we are during the year, but so far we haven't had any luck getting things rearranged. So you never know. You might check in one time and we'll be in front of a different altar, since we have 4 main altars in the room. Blair says, do you believe true happiness is achievable in life, or do you think we can only find contentedness? It depends on your definition of true happiness. If you think that true happiness is a life without any kind of conflict or blockages, then the answer would be no, because life is about that. It's both things. It's not just always everything going your way. So if having balance is your definition of true happiness, then absolutely. And you just, go with the flow, go with the changing of the tides, the changing energies, the monthly cycles, the yearly cycles, and everything else. Change is the only constant in the universe. That's the flux of time and space and movement and seasons and going around the sun and everything. It's just,
I actually believe, though, that true happiness is achievable if you listen to the Hindu Kashmir Shaivism, the Shaivites and things like that, and the Tantras. Supposedly they reach that because they realize that they're oneness with everything. And if you're one with everything, there's nothing to be unhappy about.
well, you don't have to be unhappy about the low tide either.
Well, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
there's no reason to be.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. Once you reach that point,
You're just sort of going with
with the
the
flow.
natural energy
Exactly.
and the flow of what's going on.
Yep, and that makes for happiness, so I've read.
Well, I'm pretty happy
Well, me too.
most of the time. So Desert Autumn says, I have the oldest Kindle there is, one step up from cuneiform tablets.
Mhm.
And Moonfire says, I remembered Psychic Self-Defense. Yes, that would be the one I thought it was probably in. Desert Autumn says at Moonfire, yes, I have it. Actually, the physical book. Awesome. Dublin says, Hindus say what?
Well, yeah, Kashmir Shaivism and the Tantras and things like that, that's their definition of illumination, is basically becoming one with everything, and then, you don't cut off your toe if it spites you, so to speak. You make harmony with it. And if everything is part of you, then, you have no anger or irritation or desire to hurt anything. So, and the happiness that ensues from that. Mystic states.
Blair says, thank you. I've not experienced happiness since I was a child. It feels out of reach, and I've started doubting it exists. I understand that feeling. And I don't define happiness as like the absence of movement or chaos or things or what have you. But joy is definitely achievable. And I consider joy a main component of happiness. And joy can be a small thing. It can be watching a bee pollinate a flower. And in just like wonder, awe, and joy, they're all things that we had without knowing it when we were children. Even when we come from horrific home environments, sometimes it's hard to remember those things, but they're back there. And it took me a long time to actually be able to access them again. So, keep on doing the work.
A lot of it is not being offended by things, anything that happens, to not be attached to it. It's one of the major ways of accomplishing that.
So Dublin says, but the Hindu have their own happiness. Definition of words is difficult. Aquarian says, do you have any knowledge on the magic of space and the stars? On a night with no moon, I feel closer to the stars, the expanse of the universe and the unknowable. It feels colder, farther, and alive. Well, I like flying through our solar system on a regular basis, and I mean, there's so much stuff out there, I couldn't possibly contain it all within myself, because there's literally billions of galaxies. And to be able to encompass even the idea of all that is difficult, even as a spirit, I think. I think that we have our own spheres and things like that we inhabit. But I started collecting comet energy because I thought that would be a good idea. And energy that's not of Earth. A lot of people have a hard time with energy that's not from here because it's alien, foreign. And so if you don't have a problem working with meteorite substances, then you're actually made progress, because that would be one of the things that people often get in, like, start to get headaches and all sorts of things trying to work with meteorites, because it's not of here.
Well, exactly. I don't know what to do with comet energy. I mean,
I don't know what I'm going to do with it either, but I'm collecting it. I don't know what it's for. To help our shielding, I don't know. But, it's like farther
seems like
away.
it'd be powerful, whatever's.
Well, I mean, it's from the Oort cloud all around the edge of our solar system. And it's kind of interesting. Watched a program about Voyager, the first probe that we sent out, which actually has entered into interstellar space and sent back readings from beyond the bubble that's our solar system, beyond the sun's range. And the sun is protecting us from a lot of radiation out there that could just kill us in an instant. It's like the solar wind is a shield that we have around our solar system in order to keep certain energies out. And yeah, when Voyager made that shift from our space to interstellar space and sent back the readings, they were like, whoa, that's a lot of stuff out there. So it's kind of interesting. I like combining science and mysticism or whatever together. So Aquarian says, whereas the moon, I felt a comforting, dreamy, almost enchanting energy from the moon. Lately, I've been seeing colors around the moon like a glistening rainbow or flare. It's very cool and mysterious. I see actually blue, violet light coming from the moon and reaching down to the trees, and the trees are reaching back, which is way interesting. So, Delwyn says, at Ian, what do you think about St. Francis of Assisi as a mystic?
Honestly, I know nothing about it. I'm sorry.
I always liked him when I was a kid because animals liked him. And I like animals.
So he was one that liked animals, okay.
Yeah. Jonathan says, this week Luna found an interesting topic. A guy was saying only use intuition to learn tarot. Other people only use the book. Where on the spectrum from intuition to book did you guys learn tarot? I learned it both ways. I started off with the book, and then I started having the tarot cards visit me in my sleep and explaining themselves to me, so I would consider that intuition. Blair says, thank you, that made me tear up. I understand. You're welcome. Luna says, birdsong always makes me feel happy. Well, yeah, if we can be happy with small things, then, you know, it's more fun. Yeah. Art Knows No Medium says, how do you fly, during sleep or meditation? Both, and sometimes on purpose, but mostly when I was flying around the solar system, I think I was doing it in my sleep, although I was very aware of it. I liked riding comets. I thought that they were cool. I would feel them coming, and then I would go find them, and I would sit on them, flying towards the sun, going, whee! You know, I'm silly, but it was fun. Aquarian says, ooh, comet energy, that sounds incredible. I love that idea, as I feel more connected to the stars and cosmos than anything. Yeah, it's definitely different. Charity says, process of making my first wand. Yay! Congratulations. First wands are wonderful. Desiderodum says, at Aquarian, at one point in the chat, we were talking about theoretical spirit rulers of black holes and quasars, comets, etc. Super interesting. That was a long while back, not in this chat.
And then Dublin asked me if I've seen that, and unfortunately, I haven't seen that either. I don't think. Which one is
I've
that?
seen Brother Sun and Sister Moon. David really liked that, my former partner.
Yeah.
And we can probably find it so you can see it. And yeah, Ian hasn't seen that, but I've seen that, and I thought it was interesting. Jonathan said, awesome, Charity. First wand. Charity says, then I saw some spirits in its shadow on my wall. Then they looked like winged spirits dancing on my wall. Cool. Ooh, that sounds pretty cool. Sounds like air spirits, maybe. Luna says, yep, the guy is a tarot guru. He swears by not learning the correct Rider-Waite-Smith meanings, but to learn the RWS deck using your intuition. Too late for me, although I read other decks intuitively. The Alchemist says, do you believe there are volunteer souls that experience darkness and transmute it for the world's sake? Or is it just a comforting idea for people who experience dark side of the life mostly? Well, I don't see how that helps anyone, because if advanced beings are absorbing the dark energy and transmuting it into something else, then we're not doing our job. We're not doing the work. We're not paying attention, and we're not learning how to do it ourselves. So I hope that's not true, actually. I think, to me, the important thing about all of this is becoming an individual and becoming yourself, whatever that means. And learning how to turn the darkness is a lot of your power. It resides in the darkness. Your creativity, your inspiration, your ideas for art and, expression and communication, because it's like the difficult things that we go through that allow us to empathize with people who are going through something that may be different but similar, and broadens us and makes us better, complete beings. So I would hope not. And maybe it is just like a nice idea. Angela says, I see colors around the moon to red, green, blue, and purple. Desideratum says, there's sound recordings of Voyager passing through the heliopause. It screamed. Yeah, the sound of space. Not quiet. Angela says, I tried the book, didn't like the book, started trying it intuitively, understood it finally. That would be about the tarot, I'm assuming. Charity says, Beltane. Yes, it is. Aquarian says at Desideratum, that's so cool. There's something so incredible about space phenomenon. I found Einstein's theory of relativity has amazing magical application. Luna says that Jonathan, High Priestess, in my dream the other night, the tarot. Jonathan said, Luna, haha. Dublin says, at Ian, check Francis of Assisi out sometime. I think you'd like him. Let me know.
Yeah, I'll do that when I get a chance to.
And Dublin says at Siofra, yep. I don't see anything, but the ringing in my ears is annoying. But maybe it's a coincidence. Desideratum says at Aquarian, you might like Rupert Sheldrake and Roger Penrose, both kind of integrating theoretical physics and spirituality. Yes, which is going to bring us eventually to our next video at some point. Someone asked me the difference between New Age spirituality and witchcraft. Which will be an interesting topic. I've been giving it some thought. But yes, I like science. I like knowing the reality of the physical universe as well as my experiences in the other realms and whatnot in other times. And helps keep me here. Because otherwise I go, whoo, float right off.
Ideally, though, since it's all one thing, it all integrates together. You just have to get a feel for how magic actually harmonizes with science and the things it does, and the best magical stuff will also be very scientific, in my opinion.
I agree.
In general, not the pedantic part of scientific, but it will fit in with the general theories of the universe and such.
I think so too. I'm still getting into that 85% of the universe is not perceivable. Of the matter of the universe. Dublin says that Siofra, we all going to get sucked into a black hole. I know, eventually. That would be the death of our galaxy. But first we have to get hit by a couple of other galaxies, I think. And then their black holes have to merge with our black hole in order to make it big enough to like swallow the rest of us whole. There's a lot of holes in there.
Yep.
Aquarian says, I'm not familiar with Sheldrake, but I'm going to check him out. I've read Roger Penrose. I wrote a research paper on quantum mechanics, time, and consciousness, and I quoted him a few times. All right. You think? I guess I do think. Do I think? Maybe. I be.
You think when you feel like it?
I be. That's what I
Yep,
be.
there you
I
go.
be. Desideratum says, Einstein dreamed a few of his major theories. Sounds like a spiritual download to me. Happened in his childhood, I think. Well, yeah. I mean, I think when he got the theory of relativity, it came in a flash, but it took him many, many years to be able to distill it down to a formula that would explain his intuition about it.
I know Tesla got things that way too.
Tesla never slept hardly at all. He saw things physically in front of him, so when he was inventing a machine, he was actually copying the diagram and the design of the entire thing because he could see it in front of his face and drew it down. So it's very different kinds of mental abilities there. He was quite an incredible individual. Dublin laughed at what I said, I think. Or IB. But hey, you know. We each have to figure out what we're going to do with what we know. There's so many things out there to know. Jonathan says Einstein studied the Gita deeply. He was a spiritual man.
Didn't know that.
Me neither. But it doesn't surprise me. Because, he was a very open-minded individual. He was the first person that actually uh, stood up for black people at the university and refused to teach if they didn't let them into his class. So he was forward thinking as far as about, prejudice and so forth. Dublin says, thumbs up to Desideratum. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely fun thoughts. Blair Bauer says, speaking of mental abilities, do you see a correlation between magical abilities and neurodivergent people? I don't know. I would assume that there might be, considering the fact that those of us who have abilities are thinking in a different way than the average person, so we could be described, I'm sure, as neurodivergent. I mean, I see patterns that other people might not even notice, and, perceive things in a way that would be definitely incomprehensible to an average individual. I can tell them what I'm seeing and they can look at me like, what? Where are you from? I don't know. Maybe from somewhere else. Corian says, it's great when science and spirit work together. They're much better as friends than Ebonites. Enemies.
No, that sounds like a
I don't know.
spell check.
Ebonite sounds pretty awesome.
Yep.
An ebonite. Desideratum says that Jonathan, holy cow, I didn't know. And Dublin, thumbs up at Blair. Yeah, I mean, really, they are now at least understanding the different types of intelligence that we have. It used to be all about IQ, and that was the only intelligence. And we now know that there's creative intelligence, mechanical intelligence, intuitive intelligence, emotional intelligence. Is like, there's a lot of different forms of intelligence, and some people that are really bad in one form excel in another. So, I try to be as balanced as I can between my different types of intelligence. But I really get annoyed when I meet someone who's just completely into the mental IQ kind of a thing and are using their words as a bludgeon to kind of beat people over the head with it because they feel superior to other people. And in fact, they're not. They're just different. They have their role, there's no doubt about it, but
you
not
get
the
so
only
far
one.
along in philosophy and such, and I got lost.
Okay.
I forgot what I was going to say.
Taylor says there's also the different learning styles. Absolutely. And good schools now teach in the same subject in different styles. Tactile, visual, and auditory are the three main ways of accessing and incorporating and absorbing information. So some people can't learn how to do a physical project like knitting or crochet from a book, but have to have someone show them how to do it and then do it themselves, or watch a video, or whatever it is. In our massage class, we had someone who had a really hard time. The only method that worked for her was actually doing it herself. She could not understand what the teacher was talking about, and when she was explaining how to work on a specific part of the body, use a specific kind of technique, unless she showed her physically and then she tried it out and then she would remember it. So, yeah. The Alchemist says, yeah, me too. I was a physics major and it was painful with full of mentally focused people all around. Yeah. Dublin says, well, sometimes the balance between science and emotional learning styles are very important. Well, I think balance is really what this is all about, really. Magic is about balance. My idea of how we evolve as, better magical individuals has to do with the balance between our elements and our approaches and so forth. So, the more open, rounded, balanced, inquisitive that we can be and accepting of other people's styles and maybe even trying them out to see if they fit us or not. And knowing that just because we're different doesn't mean different doesn't have to equate with bad or wrong. It's just different. Sure would be a better planet if we thought that way, but whatever. So Luna says, I don't know how I coped before YouTube how-to videos, as I only learn via visuals. Well, I think it's awesome that there's all that information out there now.
Yeah.
I learned a few new crochet things because it's been a long time since I've done crochet, and I started getting back into it and had to get refreshers, and seeing somebody just like do the thing and explain it in a few seconds goes like, oh, okay, I remember that. I know how to do that now. Jonathan says, Ian, would you consider maybe one day doing a video on where to start learning Indian mysticism? An entry point, the Gita is a great foundation, but beyond that, it's just overwhelming to me.
Cool. You want to write that down, dear?
Okay, a primer, primer, beginner, Indian mysticism.
And I'll have to think about
Where
that a
to
bit.
start. Where and how to start.
Yeah. Because it is pretty overwhelming.
Well, just about any subject that we
all
have.
Yeah, all new terms to learn and
Yep.
everything about consciousness and life. And yeah.
Aquarian says, I would love to learn Indian mysticism from Ian. Oops, I missed. Dublin says, what I mean by that is some people learn different than others. Yes, they do.
Yep.
And Dublin then adds, that's why I love your channel. You and Ian are so good. Thank you very much. Hopefully we are rounded, balanced, or whatever. And we complement one another in our fields. So Blair says, when I go to a metaphysical shops to buy crystals, I'll get a buzzing sensation in my hands, specifically with certain stones, and those are the ones I choose. What does it mean? It means that you're being affected by the energy and you're aware of the energy. Sometimes it can mean that it's working on a blockage in you, so you need the stone to help work through a blockage, or you're just becoming more sensitive to that particular stone's energy field. Jonathan says, thanks, Ian. And Aquarian says, thanks, Jonathan. Luna says, I had the same experience with knitting. Hadn't done it since childhood, switched on YouTube, and the muscle memory kicked in, and away I went. And Dublin says, Siofra, yes, ma'am. Good. Respectful, is that what that is? Is respectful, yes, ma'am? Anywho. Oh, I actually have a video I'm going to put out soon on communication, because that's one of the things that I see every so often, is that it's easy to misunderstand what someone means if you're going at it too quickly, and learning how to actually communicate and ask open-ended questions, which you guys are doing a great job of, by the way, to get more information about a subject that you're interested in, or get someone else's perspective. So I think it'd be a good thing in general to talk about. So I'm going to come out with that one in a few days. So you all can let me know what you think. I had some weird person show up on my Faye video this morning, actually, wanting me to like destroy all of his ligaments. So I blocked him. I'm like, I'm not going to put up with that kind of talk. Like, I don't understand it at all, and I'm not going to try. So Charity says, oh, Dylan says at Siofra, did you guys hear about Naomi Judd? I saw that on my feed just a few minutes before we came in here. So all I know is that according to the Facebook post, she is passed. Charity says, have you ever done a love spell that worked? No.
But Frank has.
Well, it worked, but not the way he intended. It wasn't really love.
Well,
it
yeah,
was just a lot of sex.
Backfired, but I mean, it
yes.
had a result. He also had his. Well, I guess I shouldn't.
Yeah, we don't need to bash Frank. Poor guy.
Not bashing him, but he's successful at doing magic. That's the thing. He successfully made his car invisible and then got hit.
Yeah, he worked. It worked. So. Luna says, Blair Bauer, some crystals have a higher vibrational frequency than others, so some will buzz more intensely than others. Blair says, I meant more when there's a bin of all the same crystal, for example, obsidian, but only one or two will cause that buzzing sensation. So they must be sort of charged, more aware, kind of, as far as their energy is concerned.
Something that resonates with you,
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah.
Charity says, my ex still loves me. He is going to inherit a 300-acre farm. Okay, then. Are you going to get back together with him so you can get a piece of his farm? Like, I don't understand. Mary says, happy Beltane, just got off work. I read that the fairies are most active at Beltane. I left them chocolate syrup and mango seltzer in my garden. I hope they like it. Ooh, I sounds like I would like that. So probably they would like that too. Jonathan says, where did you guys find mastic? Are you friends with a witch doctor? I couldn't find the blood of a screech owl this week to make ink, so I used a blue pen instead. Well, I found mastic on the internet, and it's the gum of a tree that lives on a Greek island, and so I ordered it directly from them.
Virgin pistachio, isn't it?
I can't remember, but it's one of the aromatic saps. Charity says, 15 years we've been together, just separate right now. Okay. Joey says, I have no psychic powers at all, so I have to rely on psychics. I tend to be a little discerning, but I also try to always be kind. So how do you choose a good, real psychic without seeming rude? I have no idea, since I don't see psychics, and I don't do quote-unquote psychic readings, because my philosophy is to, if you're depending on other people to tell you what to do, it's probably not a good thing, even if they are good psychics. I have no idea. See what they charge you for. I mean, okay, so we had a person here who called herself the Psychic by the Sea, and which I thought wasn't very impressive since she was living by the bay, so that kind of made me feel she was probably not psychic because she didn't know where she was living. And I ran into her at a fair, actually a home thing fair or whatever, at the local marketplace, and we were all breaking down our booths at the fair, so it was like it was over, and I was heading to the bathroom before I finished breaking down our booth, and she came up to me and she grabbed me by the hands and she pressed her card into my palm and looked at me meaningfully and said, you must come see me. And I thought, yep, that's a definite no. And then one of my clients went to see her, and she told her about the client that went to see her has a foreign accent, wears a lot of gold jewelry, and the woman did a reading based on that, and then decided to tell her there was a family curse on her. So, and for I think it was $50 a family member or something like that, maybe $100, she could take it off. So the woman, I have to say, was brilliant. She sent her daughter in, who was born here, has no accent, and was a college student and looked like a poor college student, and voila, there was no family curse. So I thought that was a pretty good test. But anytime a psychic does that, that's a scam. That's just a way to try and make you afraid that something bad is going to happen. And the thing that worries me about psychic readings in general is our tendency to take that information and then make it real, make it true, and whatnot. And then we only remember the parts that we make real, and then the rest of it goes away, and then we're way impressed. I don't know. But, we're people. That's all I have on that at the moment. Dublin says she had mental health, etc. Dublin, what's he talking about? Mental health. Naomi Judd.
Yeah.
Okay. Charity says, maybe. They might be getting back together. Desert Robin says, a video about respectfully and safely interacting with interdimensional and astral entities would be awesome. Oh, yeah. All right. I'll think about that. I don't know how I could do that one. Just being respectful in general.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing, and then
Respecting spirit encounters. We'll call it that.
work on developing your clairvoyance.
Don't go yelling at them all the time. But then just don't do everything they say. Angela says, I went to a crystal booth at the Ren Fest once and didn't get a thing. The guy was selling crystals with no energy. They felt heavy and dead. Yeah, I mean, if they don't have energy, you don't want them. That's one of the reasons why it's nice to go in person, because you can't really tell much from a catalog if you're buying it off the internet.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like you're taking a chance. Charity says he has absolutely no inheritors after him. Luna says that, Jonathan, have you been at the Picatrix again?
Yeah, that's one of the few grimoires I don't believe I have anywhere.
What, the Picatrix?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless it's in our computerized books.
I don't know if it is. I'd have to look. Yeah. Dublin says that, Siofra, are you all up north? We're on the west coast of Oregon, the southern section of Oregon, so not very far north. I used to live way far north, though. I lived about 1,000 miles north of Vancouver, British Columbia, in the bush of the interior of British Columbia for like 5 years at least. Charity says, so he could bless me one day. I don't know, peace, love, and light. Yeah, that would be a nice blessing. Desideratum says that, Jonathan, you can make ink with dragon's blood resin. There's a lot of things you can make ink out of.
Oh, yeah.
Charity says, never loved anyone like him. Dublin says, at Siofra, I learned that the hard way a couple years ago. Psychics aren't what they seem. Thumbs up. Krista says, greetings, happy May Day, happy level, blah. Have lovely Beltane. Thank you, you as well. Blair says, I went to a tarot reading and the psychic eyed my rose quartz necklace and my meek demeanor and jumped straight to how sad I was.
Yeah.
I'm assuming. How sad I am and how so many people love me mad. I should look forward to the future. I was a bit upset about that scam. Yeah, I walked into one, walking through, and the reader saw me, stopped me briefly, saw my dragon, or my phoenix necklace, thought it was a dragon, said something about it, and I said it was a phoenix, and then she says, you've been through a lot of stuff, haven't you? And I said, yeah, haven't we all, and left. It's like, hello? That's a hard one. You need money, you need a job, whatever. But yeah, so Aquarium says random, but I trained jujitsu like wrestling, and I previously cast a spell to protect me from injury without giving me a cheaty advantage. Any advice on injury protection? I use the sun as my source.
Well,
if you're going to be in a fight with someone who's doing jujitsu, I'm not sure how much of a spell could work.
One of the things I did when I was taking karate was charge up my karate uniform to be like a protective armor.
That's a good idea.
And help me with the physical protection. But just a thought.
Dublin said, at Blair, thumbs up. Charity says, me and him were talking about paganism and Wiccan beliefs. Cool. Desideratum says, at Joey N. Nico, son of Celine, is really good and honest. Blair Bauer and not mad. Love me mad, not mad. Charity says, that is what I love, honest exploration of beliefs and magical experiences. Yes, absolutely. Because that's how we learn and grow, right? Moonfire Dawn says, Charity, I just went through a divorce after 10 years together, still living together until my apartment is painted, so miserable, but I would not do a spell. She chose her path. Charity says, like you and Ian. Yes, we are a good example of a healthy relationship. And we can talk about anything. So far, I should add, in asterisk quotes, but I'm assuming that will continue. Dublin says, Ian, no thanks. I don't want to hear anything from anyone clairvoyant or whatever. Charity says, finding a life partner. Yeah, it's not easy. Jonathan says, Luna, Picatrix is amazing. Can't use it though. Every spell is crazy stuff I wouldn't know where to find, like the eyes of a viper. That's why I asked about Siofra's Witch Doctor Mastic.
Yeah, it's actually sold through a food company.
It's actually used now. There's some different tree variety coming out of China. So you have to look at your source. I mean, I did some research, and there's about 4 different trees that are called mastic gum, But the only one that the old grimoires and the ceremonialists were talking about is the mastic from the specific tree in Greece.
It smells very fresh.
Yeah, it's really good stuff. Call them tears.
Yeah. Some of them were soft like gummy bears. Most of them, I think.
Yeah. So Dublin says, you guys are funny. Thank you. We're on every Sunday at 2 o'clock. Jarity says, I think he's a warlock, but that's all right. Well, that depends on your definition of the word warlock. There's controversy about that word, as in almost every word on the planet. Mary says, Charity, do you still love your ex, or do you just want a farm? There's other ways to get farms. Well, it's her business, so. Dublin says that Siofra, haven't we all been through it? Amen. Yes. Aquarian says, I like that idea of charging gear. I don't have a gi, though. Maybe I could charge my belt? Well,
Sure.
That's not a bad idea.
Absolutely.
Because belt holds things up. And
Yep.
Dublin says, who's a warlock? Charity says, Mr. Vaughn. So Joey says, thank you for the recommendation, Desideratum. And Luna says, Jonathan, the faces of 10 toads. Charity says, if I would have married, my last name would have been Vaughn. Okay. Dublin says, Luna, you crazy. Quarian says, my previous anti-injury spell was on a piece of spell paper where I wrote my spell, used runes for enchanting, and put dry herbs on the paper before folding it closed. I charged it with sunlight and kept it in my backpack when I trained, so I could be smart quick enough to be safe.
Yeah, anything like that. Make yourself a protective talisman or something too.
Something you can just wear around your neck, not worry about losing it.
Physical injuries and things. Yeah.
Right. Jonathan says, Luna, ha. By the way, everyone, that's not a joke. One of the spells in the Picatrix requires toad faces. Oh, God. Well, that would definitely count me out because I don't want to harm a little toad.
I don't think you like most of the grimoires, but it doesn't mean I can't learn something from reading them. But yeah,
that's true.
I'm not about to.
Are you sure it actually means toad faces, though?
No,
I saw
it does. Yeah.
Because I saw a thing where, when they said Eye of Newt, it was a certain plant.
Yeah, I think people fill that in incorrectly mostly. Most of the stuff isn't plant. I think they're really talking about the blood of a screech owl and things like that,
Ha! Well, we were just doing substitution.
In fact, there's one of them, and I forget where, one of the grimoires that supposed to take the blood out of the left wing of a black bat.
Okay. That's pretty specific.
Yep.
All right. So, Luna says at Dublin, indeed. Dublin says at Siofra, I told you, you know what's up. Dublin says at Luna, right on. Jane says, have you used black salt? No, I haven't, although I've seen lots of instructions on how to make it. And what you can make it out of. Ashes or that kind of thing. Ashes from either a fire or incense ashes and whatnot. Moonfire says, toad faces? No, I love toads. Too much to hurt them.
We feel that way about all animals, so we do not do such things.
We don't do animal sacrifices. It's a personal choice. Other people can. That's entirely up to them. Dublin goes, ew.
I agree.
Yeah. Toad faces. Angela says, not the toads and frogs. That's my great-grandmother's spirit animals. And ew, some of those spells are icky. Yep, I agree. Jonathan says, Picatrix is properly batshit crazy. Blood of a screech owl this week was greater key. Okay. Dublin says, I love frogs and turtles, though on the real. Good for you. I heard there was a woman in Florida a few years back that tried to get them to kill all the frogs in the pond nearby her because they were too noisy at night. And they told her, if you don't like them, move. That's just what they do when they're mating. We cannot kill the frogs so that you can get a good night's sleep. Angela says, eek, me either. I'd hope no one would. Yeah, well, some people will do almost anything. They think it's a good idea for some reason. Luna says, I have so much black salt, which I've made, that I don't know what to do with it all. Yeah. And Charity says, the Fae. Yes, there are. Luna says, just to clarify, I don't do animal sacrifice or cruelty. I didn't think you did, but thank you for the clarification. Dublin says that Siofra, I don't do blood sacrifice either, but some do. Well, anyone who's in Santeria or Voodoo, Voodoo or Palo will and does. But they treat their animals humanely. There's also Odinists who do that as well. I met a group that's up in Washington State, and they talked about raising the sacrifice, I think it was a steer. I think it was a cow, steer, or something that they raised as a sacrifice. And then they sacrificed it on the proper day and then ate it. It's like...
Yeah, I don't object to animal sacrifice in general, except that I don't want to hurt anything. I don't, I mean, we buy our food from the store, okay, same thing as, raise the animal and kill it, but I'd rather buy it from a store, frankly. I don't want to kill anything. That's just me. Though a few ants have died lately.
Well, yeah, and snails. So, Dublin says that Siofra, I don't do blood sacrifice either, but some do. Blair says, better to have too much than not have any when you need it. That's the black salt.
Black salt, yeah.
Dublin says, yeah, that's just what they do. Charity says, I'm going to go through some of your videos to learn magical knowledge. Good idea, because I've put a lot of them out there now, more than 100, I think. And Dublin says, black salt. Blair says, I meant about the black salt, not animals. Yep, we figured that. You never know, though. Things are out of context. Charity says, Todd Vaughn that I never miss, told Vaughn that I never mess with dark magic. That's probably a good thing to say up front.
Yeah.
Jonathan says, have a great week, everyone. Siofra, the veil is thinnest tonight. Are you expecting Faye tonight? Well, they took me on a trip last night, but I don't remember it. So I'm hoping they do it again tonight. Maybe I'll remember, since I was so lack of sleep last night when I went to bed.
Well, I didn't even notice that the time was getting near the end, so that's a good thing.
Well, we appreciate
enjoying
that.
The conversation.
That's right.
That's right.
And we still have 5 minutes.
Yeah.
We can wait. But yeah. Dublin says, yeah, well, whatever. Angela says, I get my food too, but yeah, I've seen spells use raw chicken and chicken bones and chicken feet, but you can get all that from a local butcher. Yeah. I did do a beef tongue once, a truth spell, but I bought that. I didn't kill the animal.
Well, it's okay. We don't have any rules. There's no rules that say an animal sacrifice has to be dark magic, but if that's not your intent, I mean, there's a lot of better ways to do things. There's a huge amount of energy set free in killing an animal.
And because of a past life I had where I was involved in human sacrifice, I have made a commitment to not use the quote-unquote easy path of killing an animal to get a boost to go to the other side.
Yeah, Yeah, me too. It's, I have no, it's not a moral issue so much, but a personal choice. My personal choice, yours, not to do anything like that.
So, Charity says, I learned a severe lesson messing with dark magic. I'll never mess with that again. Desideram says, you can make a paste with black salt and moon water to anoint windows and thresholds and write sigils. Sounds like a lot of stuff to clean up when you're done. Luna says, Beltane blessings all. Thank you, Shifranian. You're welcome. Dublin says, so many great vids, so great. Luna says, shut the F up, spell uses cow's tongue. Yeah, there's a lot of different spells that involve the cow's tongue. I used the truth one. And boy, did that ever work. And people were always telling me stuff before, but now they can't shut the heck up. They just are constantly telling me things I don't need to know.
Sort of went kind of well afield of
we
particular purpose for doing that one.
Yeah, it kind of definitely had an effect on me. So I thought about it seriously, and I thought, well, I always tell the truth anyway, so I don't have to worry. But I didn't think about other people telling me the truth. That was that wasn't my intent.
You really want to hear it,
That's the thing. I go really? Do you know your mouth is moving?
Sometimes
words are coming out.
You don't want to hear the truth about what other people are thinking.
Yes. Okay, so I guess we need to go. Luna says, thanks, Desi. And Dublin says, Siofra, you're all so great. I wish you and Ian so much love. Thank you very much. Violet says, you guys are very awesome. And yes, grounded. I love that. Luna says, Desidratum, even my bad. Love you both. Beltane and Maytate too, says Violet. And Dublin says, ha ha ha. Okay, guys. So I guess now it's the time for us to say adieu. I have to figure out how to do that now. There we go. So I can get to the right thing.